Have you ever wondered how the friends in, Friends were able to afford that humongous apartment? It was practically fit for royalty, but it's not like any of them were just pulling in truckloads of cash. Well, Monica once revealed that she paid just $200 a month for the apartment after she inherited it from her grandmother, and the price stayed the same thanks to rent control. Man, I wish I lived in a fictional TV world where that made sense. Anyways, Friends was packed with fun Easter eggs and awesome behind-the-scenes stories you have to know if you're gonna call yourself a Friends fan. Let's get started right now. Besides their apartment cost, the biggest thing fans love to discuss is just how exactly these 6 New Yorkers always had their special couch and table at New York's seemingly busiest coffee shop. Well, eagle-eyed viewers were able to get the answer. Some episodes, a clear reserved sign was noticeable on their table, which answers that big question. But then again, all it does is raise more questions. Who exactly was making this reservation? Did Gunther reserve it for them because he loved Rachel? Did Ross call every morning and make sure it was reserved for them? And man, how mad do you think the other coffee shop patrons were when the clear best spot was always occupied by the same 6 people? Okay, be honest with me. How many people named Chandler have you met in your life? Could it be any more unique? Just what were the creators thinking when they named him and the rest of these kooky characters? Well, it turns out they were just huge soap opera fans. All the main characters in Friends are named after characters from the long-running soap All My Children. Chandler was named after the Chandler family, which also has a member named Ross Chandler. Then there's Phoebe Taylor and Joe Martin for Phoebe and Joey. Monica got her name from Monique Cortland, and Rachel Green was named after Janet Green. I guess there wasn't any room for a Larkin Malloy now, was there? Okay, although the show is billed as 6 main characters, we all know there's really 7. And no, it's not Gunther, but rather it's the Magna Doodle Board that appears in the background of Joey and Chandler's apartment. Starting in season 3, the Doodle Board first appeared with your standard grocery list and message for Joey to call his dad. But throughout the course of the series, it was used for more subtle jokes. For instance, in the classic episode, the one with Chandler in a box, the board in the background reads, "I'm sorry" a bunch of times in a row, a reference to how bad Chandler feels about what happened with Joey's girlfriend Kathy. Obviously, this board meant a lot to them, which is proven by the fact that Joey took the board with him when he left to star in his spin-off in California. Friends was never short on awesome celebrity cameos over the years. Hi, Brad Pitt. Hi, Gary Oldman. Hi, Jeff Goldblum. But one of the most interesting had to be Bruce Willis. It's not so much that his character was iconic or memorable more than the others, but it's the situation around it that's actually pretty funny. Turns out his role happened because of a bet. Matthew Perry and Bruce Willis starred in the comedy The Whole 9 Yards, and sometime during shooting, a bet was made between the two. If Willis lost, he'd have to appear for free in the show. Well, whatever the bet was, Willis did lose, and the rest is history. Now, is there a way to get Matthew Perry in Die Hard 12 or something? That only seems fair. Friends. It's such a simple, straightforward title. You hear it and immediately conjure up images of Smelly Cat, the Holiday Armadillo, and paper! But did you know that Friends wasn't the original name for the show? Turns out creators had a ton of different alternate names, and frankly, I think they're all worse. It was this close to being called 6 of 1, which doesn't roll off the tongue, right? Hey, did you catch the new 6 of 1 episode? Oh, I'm so excited that 6 of 1 is coming to HBO Max. See, it doesn't work. They almost had it be called Friends Like Us, but after turning it into the network, one executive suggested just shortening it to Friends, and now here we are. In the episode, the one with Monica and Chandler's wedding part 1, Rachel rushes to find a minister for their ceremony after some classic sitcom shenanigans ensue. While on the hunt, she comes across a Greek wedding where a minister is presiding over a ceremony, with one of the names being Anastakis. This is actually a clever wink to Jennifer Aniston's family name, which was originally Anastakis. When Aniston's father, John Aniston, relocated from Greece to America when he was a small child, they changed their name to Aniston. So this was the show's way of alluding to Aniston's personal history, which is something only die-hard fans of Friends would know, so count yourself lucky. If you were a first-time viewer of Friends and decided to start with the first episode of Season 6, you might have wondered if the whole cast and crew were just made up of members of the Arquette family. That's because everyone's name in the first episode of Season 6 had Arquette attached to the end of it in the title sequence. Why was that? Well, the summer before that 6th season, Courtney Cox married actor David Arquette and then became Mrs. Courtney Cox Arquette. As a fun gag, the makers of the title sequence decided to change everyone's name for one episode. Those are the kind of little Easter eggs that any hardcore fan will really enjoy, but also confuse anyone who wasn't familiar at all with the show, don't you think? When Lisa Kudrow was cast as Phoebe on Friends, it created a little bit of a problem. The actress was already playing quasi-regular, incompetent waitress named Ursula on NBC's other big comedy hit, Mad About You. Instead of ignoring it, the writers decided to make a connected universe where Ursula was Phoebe's twin sister. Honestly, that's probably one of the best decisions the show ever did, because any scene with Phoebe and Ursula is just pure gold. This even allowed for crossovers where Helen Hunt and Lila Kenzie made cameos in Friends, and accidentally mistook Phoebe for Ursula. Eat your heart out, Avengers. That's what I call an ambitious crossover. Okay, admit it. We've all gathered a few of our closest friends and decided to splash around in a fountain in the middle of the night with different colored umbrellas at one point or another, right? Oh, no. Was that just me on my 21st birthday? Alright then. But anyways, the opening title sequence is iconic for a reason. It shows just how much fun these cast of characters could have with one another, but in reality, it just showed how good of actors they all were. Apparently, that sequence was absolutely miserable to film. It was in the middle of the night, and most of them were freezing, and then had to jump around a fountain forever. Good thing the show turned out to be a success, right? Could you imagine doing that and not continuing on to become one of the most successful sitcoms of all time? So no one told you life was gonna be this way? Clap, 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 clap? It's just not the same when you say the word clap now, is it? You definitely gotta clap along to feel the full effect of such a memorable opening. I think if I was ever to write a song, it would certainly include a section for clapping, because that's the key to any great piece of music. Anyways, we all love the Friends opening theme song, and most of us know that the band performing it is the Rembrandts. But did you know that the series creators Marta Kaufman and David Crane helped write the song too? Good for them. Writing for a sitcom for long periods of time must be hard as you introduce new layers of characters' backstories. But you would think picking a date for a main character's birthday and sticking with it would be relatively easy, right? Well, not for Friends, which sometimes had difficulty remembering the characters' birthdays. The biggest example comes from Ross, who seemed to not only stay the same age for a few years, but also had wildly different birthdays. Very early on in the show's first season, Ross implies that his birthday is sometime in March, but in season 4 he says his birthday is in December, and then later in season 9 he says his birthday is October 18th. Is this a plot hole, or is Ross secretly a time traveler who alters the timeline to fulfill a dangerous mission in the past? Probably just a plot hole. What's a nice way to talk about Joey's intelligence? Let's just say it's a good thing he's pretty and leave it at that, alright? He's done a lot of boneheaded things in the past, but one of the biggest that always comes to mind is when he had to call Phoebe to ask what his own PIN number was. There's a funny joke about Joey scratching it on the side of an ATM, where it turns out to be 5639. This is already kind of hilarious to think about, but it goes a step further once you realize that 5639 spells out Joey on the number pad. That's right, Joey forgot that his PIN number was his own name spelled out. Classic Joey. It may have taken Joey until the last episode of the show to realize that Monica and Chandler's apartment was purple, but we all noticed it right away. Purple just popped on camera, and it blended perfectly with the set of furniture. I would say the most recognizable piece of that infamous apartment was the yellow frame that was around the peephole of the door. And there's actually a cool story behind it. Originally, that was a mirror which a crew member broke, but everyone decided to put it around the door and keep it there. And I gotta say, it really ties the whole apartment together. Without it, the door would just seem so lonely. Everyone remembers Joey's big white dog figure, right? I mean, how could you not? It was probably one of the most memorable props we've ever seen on the show. Something that big and goofy wouldn't have any actual meaning behind it, would it? Well, turns out it belongs to one of the cast. That's right, Jennifer Aniston is the actual real-life proud owner of that dog statue, and she received it as a good luck present right when she started acting. Man, I wish people were nice enough to give me giant dog statues whenever I started something new. I'd start a whole new collection. In a sitcom, usually, there isn't a lot of continuity for gags. Sure, long-term plot developments stick around, but most of the action that happens in one episode stays in one episode and is barely mentioned ever again. Friends was like that with a lot of its plots, but it did manage to have a clever callback during season 1. In an early episode, we learned Joey got a modeling gig at a clinic that turned out to be raising awareness for STDs. You would think they would just leave it at that. But later in that same season, those posters with Joey can be seen again in the background. Hey Joey, don't listen to them. All press is good press. I'm so excited for the Friends reunion special coming to HBO Max this year, aren't you? It will be amazing seeing the core group together again, hanging out and hopefully still making fun of Ross for all of his divorces. That never gets old. Anyways, thanks for watching.